the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
So, videos go viral. Maybe you saw it. Maybe you were in the sphere of moms complaining, women complaining about their spouses. There is a influencer by the name of Paige Connell who is a working wife and mother who posts a lot about, well, she basically posts a lot of vent fests about being a working wife and mother, and she talks a lot about the reality of the mental load that women are carrying. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a very serious topic. It's very legitimate in the world that we live in, where women are working and taking care of children and trying to take care of the home and trying to love their spouse and navigate it all. But it brings up the topic of equity within marriage. It brings up the topic of why a lot of women are leaving marriages as well. But there's a lot to be said. It's this 5-minute long rant. It's been all over social media. In fact, many people are saying, hey, make sure you talk to the woman you're about to marry about this and have her listen to it and see what her reaction is. And that will be the litmus test for whether or not you'll marry her. So I want to introduce you to part of the audio because it gives you a taste of what many of us know is just part of the culture of today. And we'll dive into navigating that within your marriage, what that looks. What does equity look like? Why are women leaving? Why are marriages struggling? So listen up to this viral video that has been all over social media lately.
I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on, and he's always present. What else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men, and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home, and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do. And I said, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so he does it, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up. I went to put something in the trash, and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle, and it was in the dishwasher with all of the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, he doesn't see me because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone.
That's Paige Connell, the working mom who has a vent fest online, talking a lot about mental load, sparking a lot of conversation. But also, I've been struck by the number of people who are saying this is a litmus test for whether or not you should marry someone. And they're really pointing at her and saying, hey, your reaction is inappropriate. Your shaming of your husband publicly. It's like, my husband's perfect, but not really. I almost left him. And praise God, the story goes like this. They worked it out. They went and got help. They worked through therapy, but now she posts every single day on social media as an influencer about the mental load and marriage challenges, which are so legitimate. There are a lot of women today who are leaving their families because of the pressure that they are under. And the predominant pressure is working, one, with too many things going on. For a lot of women, it's working full-time outside of the home. Maybe it's part-time in the home and still trying to take care of everything that you're responsible for. And you hear this story and it sounds like she has a great husband. If you hear what she's saying, she's like, when we make dinner, when my husband takes them to daycare, like it sounds like he's there, he's helping do things. But there's specific things she wants and needs, or seasons, such as after having a fourth child, where she's struggling. And I think there's a lot to say to the conversation of equity in marriage that she brings up, why women are leaving. Joining me today to really bring that male-female perspective to this topic is Devin Schadt. Devin Schadt is the founder of the Fathers of St. Joseph, doing great work on building up men in our culture to be good husbands and good fathers. You can find him at fathersofstjoseph.org. He's also an author of many books, which you can find on his website as well, fathersofstjoseph.org. And Devin, I thought this was a great topic for us to just dive into. I know there are a lot of perspectives here, and I think she brings up some legitimate concerns within the context of the conversation. You know, she's making this cry for help. I really just need X help with X. You know, she mentions the trash and the dishwasher being unloaded, like these couple simple things. But then it's so much more than that. So that's not all that's really behind the conversation.
Well, hey, before we begin, I just want to tell listeners a little secret. Today is Timmerie's 21st birthday.
Oh.
So happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm looking rather young today. People might believe you, though, with the 21 years.
Yeah. So I love what you said about the pressure, though. Obviously, she's overwhelmed. Obviously, she doesn't have the bandwidth. At least it appears that she's saying this, that she doesn't have the bandwidth to take all this on. But there's something else there. There's also this social pressure. Social media has really exacerbated this idea that there is that perfect relationship, that perfect marriage, that perfect life out there. And if only, you had a spouse who fulfilled every one of your whims, you would have that, but you don't. So you should go out and look for that. And I think that's, like you said at the beginning, women are leaving their marriages. And I think that coupled with the idea that we live in a comfort culture. So we're not in a culture right now that is accustomed to sacrifice, to suffering, or even the higher mode of that. Like, what's the goal? Why do we suffer? Why do we sacrifice, etc.? So we've got this comfortism kind of context, and then we've got social pressure that we should have this perfect life. And so then when we have a husband or a spouse who isn't fitting all that, who isn't fitting the bill, then we blast it out on social media. But I do think the good thing about this, if there is a good side of this, is that even though, if you read the comments, some people are saying it was the most exhausting 5 minutes of their life, which I felt that through and through, man. But I think it does demonstrate to us who are in the church, who are maybe really into our faith, that this is the way a lot of feminist women think. Mm-hmm. And so this is the landscape in the context of our current situation. And so if we are, as a church, are going to try to, in a sense, convert the culture to true love, to Christ and to truth, this is where we have to begin. We have to begin with the mindset and their perceived reality. Yeah, it's a perceived reality because I think feminists believe that they don't need men, don't need kids, don't need a family, but then they need another income and a person to help with chores and someone to maybe give them those kids,
And kind of circling back to some of what you said, kind of tying that, like, women are leaving because they are under pressure to do it all. And you can't. Yeah. And I know this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, but this is the reality of the last 60 years of women working full time and having children. This is unheard of in human history. Yes. Women have always worked, but they've worked around the family. There was a direct interaction between them being involved in agriculture and all these different things that were work and buying and selling and providing for the home, but the family was together with the mother. And so this is the pressure where, yes, women have always done a lot and played a primary role in society, but this is the difference of women working away from and severed from their children. So I think that significant component is something new we have to remember of the last 60 years and say, hey, this actually isn't okay. And that's why this is a problem today. So I think that's number one. But two, you're really kind of mentioning this, like the fact that she's throwing like her happiness is contingent upon her husband and living in this false reality, Devin. I think that's such a huge problem because it's a false reality in that she thinks my husband's the one who has to fix this all. And then it's a false reality because she actually believes the feminist mantra that equity exists in any relationship I don't think there's a single relationship in human existence where equity works.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's so great what you're saying there, because I heard someone say it before, you don't hang a hat on a hook that can't bear the weight. And I think that this is the difference between the way God designed marriage and the way that the world approaches marriage. So the world approaches marriage as an agreement, as a contract. Like, I've got this mission, you've got that mission, we're going to compile our incomes, and maybe we'll have 1.5 kids, and hopefully we're all on the same, team on this, and it's going to be great because we're going to have a bigger house, we're going to have better cars and all this stuff. Whereas God's plan for marriage is that it's got the three components. It's unitive, so it bonds the couple. It's procreative, so it gives life, and it's redemptive. So it actually purifies the souls, the people involved, of selfishness. And I think that we're missing, in the world at least, we're missing that vision of marriage. And that is the vision that actually heals. Because the more that we go down this rabbit trail or this rabbit hole of, I want my life perfect and I want my spouse to make it perfect, I'm going to hang my hat on this hook that can't bear the weight, I not only crush them, but I also crush my own psychological well-being, because I'm expecting it. And then I wake up and it's another day of that failing. So what gives? The whole idea behind marriage is that it's actually the pain that we experience in self-giving love is actually the pain of selfishness leaving the soul. And that's what God wants to accomplish in us, because that's the place of freedom. She is not free, obviously. I mean, and I'm not ripping on her or anything. She's just not free because she's expecting, like you said, someone else will make her happy when only God can. And it's ironic that when we give, when we serve, when we sacrifice, that is the path to true freedom, rather than holding on to our own selfish desires.
And when you discuss that, it is that element of human existence that has a Christian anthropology of, my life is here for me to serve others, not to just be served. I mean, that line from Christ is so significant. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. That's what children are meant to help teach us to do. But I feel like today kids have become this task, this chore, this checklist, rather than people to be loved. It's like, we have to check, okay, I got the lunch, check, I got them to school, I got them educated, I got them graduated, rather than remembering the love and tenderness of forming souls and really loving human beings that need time. And time is what we're so unwilling to sacrifice in our modern culture. You hear her and she's like, I'm late for work. That's a crisis that a lot of people, a legitimate crisis in a day that occurs. I mean, we have to make life choices that change that crisis so that we're not bumping into this pure pressure and exhaustion and implosion that she's expressing that women are legitimately going through.
Her claims are a little bit illegitimate. I mean, there's a clean bottle in the clean dishwasher, and she's got to take it out. I mean, seriously, her husband's asking her what she wants for dinner, which means he's cooking. Seriously, I mean, like, it's not that tough, really. I mean, she's made a mountain out of a molehill, but I get it for a lot of women out there who are sacrificing like crazy and doing all this for their husbands, for sure. But I think that there's some big mistakes that she's making big time. And I think that it's important, because I just think that she made a huge mistake on posting that video online. And it demonstrates that she is not giving her husband what he needs. And that's the most fundamental need of every man. Every man that's on the face of this earth, they desire respect, but that respect has a component to that. It's not just to be like, I uphold your dignity. When a man talks about respect, it means that the people who respect him, especially his wife, says, I believe in you. You've got this. I know you can do this. And that kind of respect elevates a man. And in fact, it makes him want to serve all the more. But when she disparages him on social media, and when she talks about how she micromanages him, and basically she does admit she treats him like a boy. She reduces his whole existence to duties and chores that make her life easier. I would hate to be this guy at work. Like, if I show up to work the day after that video's posted, the guys at my work are going to be like, hey, buddy, can you go get me my lunchbox? Can you hold the door for me? I mean, they're just going to, but so It's just so, she has literally emasculated him in front of the entire world. And so it just demonstrates by doing that, she doesn't have the wherewithal to understand what his need is. His fundamental need is to be respected to the point of being believed in. Mm-hmm. That's the first one. As the founder of the Fathers of St. Joseph, we believe fundamentally that one of the pillars is to embrace woman, to bear her burdens as our own, to count her as better than ourselves, as St. Paul says. Not to be served, but to serve. We believe that. In fact, we believe in setting the pace of self-giving love. In dancing, man takes the first step. It doesn't mean he's a better dancer, but he's got to do that in serving. That's how God has designed us. He's designed us to do the difficult, which the most difficult thing to do is live in relationship and to give yourself away to another and trust another and serve another. That's the most difficult thing to do. And then that's when the dopamine is actually released. And that's when we become happy, joyful people.
Our guest today from the Fathers of St. Joseph, Devin Schadt. You can find him at fathersofstjoseph.org. I hope you share this episode. It has been a controversial one, but I think so beneficial for us as we strive to live that Catholic lifestyle.